All right, in this video, I can say that we are done with all of our factoring skills. We're going to use factoring in this video, but we're not going to learn any new techniques. So perhaps for one of the last times, we're going to look at the factoring flow chart. You're asked to factor. Please first look at all the terms and see if there is a greatest common factor. If there is, factor it out. That may be all you can do. But then again, you can do more. 4 terms, grouping. 3 terms, either use trial and error, or if you recognize it, factor it as a perfect square trinomial. Finally, if it is a binomial, check to see if it is squares or cubes. If it is squares, you can factor it only if it's a subtraction. If it's a plus with squares, it's prime. Whether it is the difference or the sum of cubes, either one of those, you have the same pattern that involves the binomial, that is the cube roots, and then square, change the sign, product, square. Now, looking at this next lesson, we're actually going to take a step away from just factoring polynomials, and we're going to use factoring to solve equations. Now, we're going to solve what are called quadratic equations, but let me remind you of something else. Linear equations. A linear equation might have more than one term with an x, but you could combine them. And let's just say you have 5x plus 7 equals 17. It is a linear equation if all of the x terms have only implied exponents of 1. This is a first degree equation. A quadratic equation has some term that involves x squared. It might have a term that involved x. It might have a constant. The only thing that absolutely must be there is x squared. And you will see some different examples. But there must be at least an x squared, and when there is, it's a quadratic equation. When we solve quadratic equations, at least in this lesson, we're going to do it by using our factoring skills. To do that, your quadratic equation needs to always be set equal to 0. There is an important reason for that. The left-hand side, you will put in descending order the squared term, the regular x term, and the constant if they all exist. And you will factor this. Now, suppose that you have a factor times a factor. Those would be the factors of that, equal to 0. There is something called the zero factor property, and it says if a quantity times another quantity equals 0, then either this one is 0 or this one is 0. Because the only way you can multiply two things and get 0 is if one of them was 0. So this is the zero factor property. And I'll show you how it's used. All right, problem number 1. Let me zoom in on this a little bit. All right, it is an equation. X squared minus 11x plus 30 equals 0. We are talking only about equations. Left side, equal sign, right side. All right, is it equal to 0? Yes. Is it a quadratic? Yes. All right, then here's what we're going to do. Use all of your skills to factor the left side. Is there a common factor? No. That's a trinomial, so I'm going to try trial and error. Last sign is positive. That means plus plus or minus minus. Why am I choosing minus minus? Because this one tells me to. I have x and x. Factors of 30. I'm going to go off to the side. It's either 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, or 5 and 6. They need to have a sum. That is really messy x. You need to have a sum of 11. So it will be 5 and 6. Now, if all we had was a polynomial, if the equal 0 was missing, then I would be done. I would have it factored. But I have an equation and I'm trying to solve it for x. Quadratic equations have two answers. This factor times this factor equals 0. That means that either x minus 5 is equal to 0 or x minus 6 is equal to 0. Because in order for a product to equal 0, one of them has to equal 0. Now you have little bitty linear equations. To solve this one, you would add 5 to both sides, and so you get x is 5. Or this one, you add 6 to both sides, so x is 6. In my math lab, it says simplify your answer, type each solution only once. So if you got the same answer twice, you'd only put it in once. Use a comma to separate answers as needed. So you will have, math lab will have it sitting like that. And you would type in 5, 6. It doesn't matter about the order. You could have 6, 5. These are both answers. If you put a 5 in here, 5 squared is 25. 11 times 5 is 55. So it would, I'm checking it. Whoops. It would be, if I'm testing 5, it would be 25 minus 11 times 5 plus 30 is 0. So 25 minus 55 plus 30 equals 0. 25 minus 55 is negative 30, plus 30 equals 0, and that's true. If I tested the 6, 6 squared, putting it in there, is 36, minus 11 times 6 plus 30 is supposed to equal 0. 36 minus 66 plus 30 equals 0. That gives me negative 30 plus 30 is 0. And that checks. I'm not going to check each one of these, but they will both check. All right. That's using factoring to solve a quadratic equation. Let's look at another one. I have x squared plus 3x minus 10 is equal to 0. Is it equal to 0? Yes. Is it a quadratic? Yes. Then I can try to use my factoring skills. Don't forget, don't get lazy and leave off the equal 0 because you messed it up if you did. All right, last sign is negative. That means one of each, x and x. Because one is positive and one is negative, it's going to be the outer and the inner difference is 3. So 10, it's either 1 times 10 or 2 times 5. The difference between 2 and 5 is 3, so that's good. I want the big one to be positive. So those are my factors. The product is equal to 0. Now this doesn't work with any number except 0. So that means that x plus 5 equals 0 or x minus 2 equals 0. To solve this one, subtract 5 you get x is -5. This one, you add 2. X is +2. So in my math lab, you would put in -5, 2. Number 3, I have x squared is equal to 100. All right. I'm not sure why that was moving. A little technical problem here. There we go. This is not equal to 0 yet. It is a quadratic, but it's not equal to 0. So I need to subtract 100. At this point, many of you would just say, I moved it over, and that's fine. So x squared minus 100 equals 0. Now we're in the right form to solve a quadratic equation by factoring. Now, I may not be saying it out loud, but I'm always looking for a common factor, and I haven't seen one. This is a binomial. Binomial, is it cubes or squares? It's squares. Those are both squares. The difference of squares factors into 1 plus and 1 minus. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of 100 is 10. Factoring completed. Now, if the product is 0, then one of the factors must equal 0. So either x plus 10 equals 0 or x minus 10 equals 0. Subtract 10. X is -10, or add 10. X is 10. So in math lab, -10, +10. 2 answers for a quadratic. Next one, x squared plus 17x equals 0. Now, students tend to make a mistake on this one or get sidetracked. There is a common factor. It's a binomial, but what you should see first is that there is a common factor. There's a common factor of x. If you factor the x out, that's like dividing both of those by x. That leaves you with x, and that leaves you with plus 17. There's no more factoring. X plus 17, there's nothing I can do to that. So this factor times this factor equals 0. That means that this one is 0, or this one is 0. There's nothing I can do to this. That is an answer. X equals 0 is an answer. The other one, subtract 17. X is equal to -17. So my answers are 0 and -17. Like I said, it doesn't matter about the order. A couple of others. Suppose I have 25x squared minus 9 equals 0. This is a quadratic, and it is equal to 0. So let's try to factor. Is there a common factor? No. It's a binomial. Oh, it's the difference of squares. Now, the previous problem was a binomial that had a common factor, and that's all I could do to it. This one is a binomial that is the difference of squares. So it will factor into 1 plus and 1 minus. 5x is the square root of 25x squared, and 3 is the square root of 9. Zero factor property says if the product of two factors is 0, then either the first one is equal to 0 or the second one is equal to 0. If I solve this first equation, it's got an extra step. I need to subtract the 3. 5x is equal to -3, but I have to divide by 5. And I'm going to get a fraction, and I'm not going to freak out about that. It's just a valid answer. The other one, I'm going to add 3, so 5x is 3, divide by 5, x is 3/5. Now when you type in those answers, I want to caution you about something. You're going to use the fraction tool. When you do, and if you end up down here in the denominator, be sure you get out so your comma is over there. If you put the comma down here with the 5, it will count it wrong. So make sure your answer looks like this. Make sure it does not, whoops, look like this. This is bad. The comma needs to be right here. Okay. I think we have one more. We have 2x squared minus 9x minus 18 is equal to 0. Is it quadratic? Yes. Is it equal to 0? Yes. Okay, then let's start the factoring. Is there a common factor? No. So we'll go with trial and error. The last sign is negative. That always means 1 plus and 1 minus. Put in the x, but because it is 2x, I know that I have 1 times 2. 18 is either 1 times 18, 2 times 9, or 3 times 6. This is trial and error. So 1 and 2x. All right, my outer product and my inner product, because they have different signs, I'm going to get a difference of 9. Let's try 3 and 6. The outer product is negative 6x. The inner product is 6x. Those cancel out, and that's not what's supposed to happen. I'm supposed to get a 9. So let's exchange them. Let's put the 6 here and the 3 here. That gives me an outer product of negative 3x and an inner product of 12x. And 12x minus 3x is 9. I've got the right number, but I'm getting positive 9. And I'm supposed to get negative 9. If that happens, all you have to do is change the position of the signs. Don't change the numbers, change the signs. Now my outer product is plus 3 and my inner product is minus 12. That gives me negative 9. So that particular problem is a little more involved factoring, and I'm not through because I just have the product of these is equal to 0. That means that, and I'm not going to write the 1, that x minus 6 is 0, or 2x plus 3 is 0. For the first one, add 6. X is 6. For the second one, subtract 3. So 2x is negative 3. Divide by 2. X is negative 3/2. Those are my two answers. Because one of them is a fraction, be a little bit careful as you enter them into my math lab. So please remember that if you're going to solve a quadratic by factoring, number 1, the right-hand side, or at least one side, has to be 0. Then do your factoring, whatever, it could be common GCF, it could be trial and error, it could be difference of squares. I'm not going to give you any that have difference of cubes, and there won't be any here that are grouping. It could be, but there aren't. So it's mostly trial and error, GCF, difference of squares. And then set each factor equal to 0, you would get 2 answers.